Welcome to Reel. My name is Nick, and today I'm being joined by Patrick.
Today we're talking about a movie that blew up in the cinema. That's right, today we're talking about Oppenheimer.
Really, Patrick? A bomb joke? Just like that at the beginning?
Well, the whole movie's about the invention of the atomic bomb, so I feel like it's warranted.
Just roll the trailer.
This is a national emergency.
Detonator charged.
We're in a race against the Nazis. And I know what it means if the Nazis have a bomb.
They have a 12-month head start.
18.
How could you possibly know that?
We've got one hope. All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected here. A secret laboratory. Keep everyone there until it's done.
Let's go recruit some scientists.
Build a town, build it fast. If we don't let scientists bring their families, we'll never get the best.
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere for who knows how long?
Why? Why? How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
You're the great improviser, but this you can't do in your head.
Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button, we destroy the world?
Chances are near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want from theory alone?
Zero would be nice.
This is a matter of life and death. I can perform this miracle.
World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
That's happening, isn't it?
The world will remember this day. Our work here will ensure a peace mankind has never seen. Until somebody builds a bigger one.
You are the man who gave them the power to destroy themselves. And the world is not prepared.
Truman needs to know what's next. What's next?
Oppenheimer is the newest Christopher Nolan film, the maker of Memento, The Dark Knight, and Inception. This time, in his second film about World War II, he's made a film about J. Robert Oppenheimer, known as the father of the atomic bomb, and additionally the Manhattan Project. It deals with the bomb's creation, the first drop, and the impact of the bomb's existence, as well as his relationships and eventual trial.
The film stars Cillian Murphy as Robert Oppenheimer and features Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, John Harnett, Casey Affleck, and Rami Malek, and many others. It's a very stacked cast.
This film is an adaptation of a 2005 biography about Oppenheimer called The American Prometheus, written by Kai Bird and Martin Sherwin. The book was given to Nolan by Robert Pattinson towards the end of Nolan's previous film, Tenet. Well, as Prince once said, if night falls and a bomb falls, will anybody see the dawn? Let's check out a behind-the-scenes clip about the most pivotal scene in the movie.
The world will remember this day.
The Trinity test and the revelation of the first atomic explosion to the world was one of the most important moments in the 20th century.
It was a massive, miraculous project that many thousands of people were involved with. It touched government, it touched science, it had huge ramifications for all sorts of ordinary people.
The Trinity test and the development and the race and the fact that it was all attempting to save kind of humanity from fascism. World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
This is a matter of life and death. But I can perform this miracle.
What was really interesting was going back and trying to understand what these guys were thinking and the terrible decisions that were placed in front of them.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon, but I know the Nazis can't.
We live in the world that we live in because of what happened at Los Alamos.
Why would we go to the middle of nowhere for who knows how long?
How about because this is the most important thing to ever happen in the history of the world?
All through humanity, we've been blinded by ambition and pursuit, and then the ramifications is something else. That's happening, isn't it?
I think that's why it's so bizarre and amazing that Chris is making this movie now. We're seeing parallels.
It's a profoundly overwhelming experience watching it. It's not a history lesson. It's not telling people this is what you must learn from this, but I think it's very clear it can reflect back on what's happening in the world today.
When I asked Chris what was interesting about why he wanted to make it, he said, I always found that very interesting that when they were doing the Trinity test, they were asked, what are the chances of this going wrong and it blowing up the entire world?
Chances are near zero.
Near zero.
What do you want for theory alone?
Zero would be nice.
Detonators charged.
What is that decision to just still go ahead and do it?
It's an extraordinary moment in human history. And I wanted to take the audience into that room and be there when that button is pushed and really fully bring the audience to this moment in time.
3, 2, 1.
After about 2 months of being released, Oppenheimer has made $900 million.
With a budget of $100 million, this is a very impressive feat and has made Oppenheimer one of the most profitable films of 2023. Nolan's terms for the movie were also crazy. His terms with Universal was to have an equal marketing budget, total creative control, 20% of the first dollar gross, and a blackout period 3 weeks before and 3 weeks after the movie was released where Universal couldn't release anything.
Despite these terms, Oppenheimer was quite overshadowed by the Barbie movie. In the first week of being released, Barbie made $500 million, and Oppenheimer made $230 million. Despite these movies being completely different, they seem to be compared to each other quite often when talking about the profit of the movie.
And while recording, Cillian Murphy at one point ate 1 almond a day to lose enough weight for the role of J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Apparently, the movie was not always called Oppenheimer. When Universal started work on the movie, the title was The Gadget.
This film was mostly shot on location, where they built replica buildings to simulate being in the 1940s. These include Los Alamos, Ghost Ranch, Santa Fe, Belen, and Lamy.
This is Christopher Nolan's longest movie, clocking in at 3 hours. Way too long. Well, our commercial's not even close to that long, so we'll be right back after the short 1-minute break.
3, 2, 1.
With what's happening today with smartphones, everybody has the ability to shoot video. But not everybody has the ability to edit that video and communicate a thought and idea in a professional way with high production value. That's where we come in. This particular program allows a student to do single cam productions, multi-cam productions, short films, corporate promos, things like that. So there's a lot of different things that a student can learn in the video production area.
What I love here is the practical work that I can learn. It's like a non-pressure environment, and I like that about it.
All those things that you're not going to learn unless you do it. You can read about it in a book, but that's not going to help you when you're on set.
In my opinion, Oppenheimer could have been better. To start, I'll say the story is fairly interesting, albeit it does get kind of boring here and there. And the whole last third feels like I'm watching 12 Angry Men, but it is at least interesting. J. Robert Oppenheimer is the only properly developed character. All the others feel very unmemorable, and don't get me wrong, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, they give decent enough performances, but they're not as well as Cillian Murphy's is. I hope one day Christopher Nolan learns to talk to women because, man, he is so bad at writing women, which is kind of a pattern in a lot of his films, but it's very prevalent here. They're either used as sex objects or useless. The way it's structured is unique. Rather than told in order, it's non-linear. It bounces back and forth between color and black and white, with the colored sections being the Oppenheimer's perspective and the black and white segments from Richard Strauss's perspective. I never found it confusing, but I did find it boring after a while, which leads into my main problem, the one major issue, the length. There is absolutely no way to justify the 3-hour length. Literally 60 minutes could be cut out of this, and it wouldn't be as boring. I mean, this is a very dense film. There's a lot of layers, very intricately made, but I just don't care. It feels a little pretentious. Solid movie, would never watch it again. 3 out of 5 reels. But what did you think, Patrick?
I'm just going to start by saying I have very little good to say about this movie. It was way too long, boring, and confusing. I agree this movie could have been cut down to a 2-hour movie. The last third feels like it's just trying to get more screen time. I was quite unimpressed with the writing. Like, Oppenheimer was written well, but everyone else was just the same and boring, especially the women. They seemed like all the same characters, like in looks and how they acted. The only memorable scene for me is when they did the test drop of the bomb. Before then, it feels like the story is everywhere and moving way too slow. 2 perspectives also confused me. I had trouble keeping track of who wanted what and what was going on. Overall, I give this movie 2 out of 5 reels. I'm truly not impressed. The only reason it's not a 1 is because of the interesting special effects that they used. It did kind of seem like someone with ADHD edited the sparks and lights in, but for the story, I think it works.
Well, just like that, we're out of time.
For future episodes of Reel to Reel, follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. New episodes go live every Friday at 10:30 and noon.
That being said, go watch a movie, form an opinion, and we'll see you next week.